What's up, guys? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Bankroll Blitz. You have me, Mr. Brad Thomas, Bobby Prop Holiday, and Corey at C Money 52. Fellas, how are y'all doing today?
Feeling good, man. Feeling good. Ready for the weekend.
Ready for the weekend, ready to make some money. Bankroll Blitz was on a 1 week hiatus while everyone, spent time with their family, enjoyed their holidays, but we're back and ready to continue the hot success that we've had recently. So I'm going to kick things off with Operation Fade, and Operation Fade took a beating last game. This time I'm doing what I did the last time. I'm going back to the well on the total side. Last time I had an under in the Chiefs game. This time I'm going to go over. So I want to go ahead and detail the four highest total public bets. Number one, Giants at Dolphins, over 41 at 67%. Broncos at Chiefs, 65% on the under 47. Colts at Texans, 64% on over 45. And Vikings at Lions, under, and that's 63%. I decided to choose the Broncos here because when I was talking about the last time I took a total, I think that a lot of times we go through the obvious first thoughts on a game. So what did I do first when I looked at this game? I looked at the weather. It's going to be 25 degrees. Then I looked at the trends. I looked under has hit in 5 out of 6 of the last Chief games. And then I looked at the typical saying that primetime games have gone under. Well, listen, I'm going to call this one not Operation Fade, but Operation Andy Reid off a bye week. I only tracked bye weeks from an over-under standpoint on games with Patrick Mahomes and regular season games. And the last 3 regular season games with Patrick Mahomes, he's 3-0 coming off a bye, and they hit their team total in every single one of those games, right? Well, it makes sense why the public wants to be on the under, also outside of those trends that I talked about in the weather. You think about the Broncos defense, you think about the Kansas City defense. Kansas City has shored up their defense. While they've shored up their defense, they've actually have slid in the past 2 weeks in their defensive efficiency, meaning the opportunities for their teams to score have been much higher. I think that one thing that I'll talk about later in this podcast, while everyone thinks that there's this Andy Reid is amazing off a bye, while that's true, that doesn't necessarily say that their defense has followed suit. While in their last 12 games, they are 11-1 off a bye, they're only 6-6 against the spread. And a lot of those games off the bye, it was because of defensive inefficiencies that they've had. So I like the Broncos to do their due diligence, do their job, and help carrying this total as well as the Chiefs. I have this game projected as a 8-point game for the Chiefs, but there's a big margin of error for the Chiefs in terms of getting into one of those shootouts that, everyone thinks not going to happen in a 27-degree weather game in primetime. So I'm more than comfortable with backing over 47 points. We have 3 points of value. It dipped 3 points with the public hammering it.
Yeah. I mean, and just looking at this Chiefs team in general, I think in 2020, they averaged 30 points per game in the month of December. In 2019, they averaged 28 points per game in the month of December. These are the times this is the time of year, and we actually see them rolling off. I think it's 3 or 4 straight wins. They are undefeated in November. This is where they start rolling for the playoffs. So you don't have to worry about the Chiefs putting up this number. So if they do hit that 30-point mark, now you look over at the Broncos. They put up 30 against the Cowboys. They put up 28 against the Chargers, which we all believe, I think, is a good defense. So over 47, fading the public. I back you on this one, man.
Yeah, it's one of those things I talked about a little bit earlier on our podcast. We talked about the Chiefs where good elite Super Bowl contending teams, it's hard to be successful throughout the season. But what thing you do notice is come December and come time to really get grinding for the playoffs, those teams put it together. And you even see that with Patrick Mahomes. The first 5 weeks of the season were brutal for him. He was leading the league in interceptions and not doing very well in terms of yardage and touchdowns. Now he's second in yardage. And I not off the top of my head his touchdown rankings, but he is coming together, and don't be surprised if he sneaks his way into the MVP conversation.
Yeah, he definitely sneak his way into the MVP conversation. As for the total, in this game. I think you're banking on Andy Reid's bye week prowess a lot in this one, just because bye week teams this year have been really bad coming off the bye. So we're relying on Andy Reid on this one and him actually coming out with some kind of wrinkle for this offense to get back to what it used to be.
Luckily for the Chiefs too, they're pretty healthy. This is one of the most healthy teams that they're going to be able to put out this time. And what's kind of funny is every team that we backed on outside of their bye, like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Tom Brady's god awful coming off byes, so they followed suit. They were pretty bad. The Ravens are really good off bye. I don't think they covered in that game, but they still were moving the ball well. I think it really depends on the coach and who you want to trust. I know you have a play in this game, so why don't you tell us what you're backing in the Broncos at Chiefs?
Yeah, so I'm taking the Broncos plus the 9.5 points in this game. The road team has covered the line in 6 of the last 7 games between the Broncos and the Chiefs, and I just like this Vic Fangio defense. I like what they do. Like, they're perfectly set up to slow down the Chiefs. They have the 2 high safeties, run a lot of quarters defense. They're going to make Mahomes play underneath and have to kind of nickel and dime his way down the field. They have very good secondary. They're opportunistic, and I just think they're set up to succeed in this game. Obviously, the Chiefs against the spread records kind of speaks for itself. They're 4-7 this year against the spread. So I'm hedging a little bit against you here. I like the Broncos to at least hang in there enough to give the Chiefs a little bit of a problem, especially it's a division game as well.
Name to keep an eye on for that game. For both of your bets, Melvin Gordon. I think they said he's about 50-50 to play this week.
Yeah.
I love Javonte Williams. I think he's one of the more explosive rookie running backs this year. So if he gets a full game, meaning Javonte Williams, I'm excited to see what he can do. Obviously, he's been splitting carries the whole season, but he really could be someone that puts on a show saying, I deserve to be the lead back in this offense going forward after this season. So a name to watch for both of your bets, I would say, is Melvin Gordon.
One thing about the Broncos that's really interesting this season is you can tell pretty early on the success they're going to have in the game. Most of the games that they have ended up winning, games they were controlling early, and most of the games that they were losing early. I'll have more to say about that, but let's move over to one of the hottest teams and one of the teams I'm very excited for, the Cincinnati Bengals. Bobby, tell us what play you have from that game.
I just want to say really quickly, outside of Monday Night Football, this is going to be my favorite. This is the game I'm most looking forward to all week. It's Chargers-Bengals. Chargers are 3-point underdogs going over to Cincinnati. But my play for this game, and it wouldn't be a prop holiday Bankroll Blitz if I didn't have a random name to put a bet on. CJ Uzomah over 20.5 receiving yards. It's minus 115. So the weakness of this Chargers defense has been the middle of the field. They do a very good job at defending the perimeters. And they're going to have their hands full with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. I think Zach Taylor is going to look to exploit what's given to him, and that's going to be Uzomah and Tyler Boyd. So we're going to see them early and often. This line's very low, and it's due to poor performances that Uzomah's had in back-to-back weeks. Both of those games were complete blowouts. Burrow only threw the ball 29 times and 24 times in each. I think it's going to be a way more competitive game on Sunday, and if it is, Uzomah gets back to that normal workload we saw weeks 4 through 9. He averaged 42 yards per game. Now, this Chargers defense, another part of the reason why I love this, they're allowing 5 receptions for 59 yards per game to opposing tight ends. So we're getting our starting tight end at 20.5. The defense that can't defend the middle of the field. I love Uzomah in this spot. I think him and Boyd had big games. I really wasn't a fan of the Boyd lines because I had way too much juice, but 20.5 because of the 2 past poor performances. This is going to be a competitive game. I think the over-under is like 49-50. So we should see a shootout. We should see Uzomah with 3 to 4 receptions, and 20.5 is an easy number to hit if he gets that. Small tidbit, we'll talk about it later, but I also think he's able to get in the end zone. This Chargers defense gives up a touchdown per game to opposing tight ends. So Uzomah to score is plus 330, a little preview for later. But for now, a 1-unit play for me, Uzomah over 20.5 receiving yards.
Hey, I always trust you to the fullest when you find those hidden gems, and I get super perked up. I think the last hidden gem you said something in your analysis, and it made me take a play that was totally not related to. I mean, it was totally not the exact play, but it was very related. It was plus money. I wish I remember, but you literally like lead me to water, and I freaking drink it every single time.
It might have been Tyrod Taylor. His Tyrod Taylor rushing yards. I think people looked at me funny. Michael Carter. I did on Black Friday. No,
Yeah.
I did on I did Halloween weekend, and people were like, "Why would you bet on a Jets offensive player?" I'm like, "No, trust me, Michael Carter, kid's legit."
Yeah, I think I did like an alt line for Michael Carter, and I got plus money from it. And I was like, oh, heck yeah, thanks.
That is my goal every week. I have to come with the most random play possible, and CJ Uzomah is my random play.
Awesome. You have anything on CJ there, Corey?
I mean, I don't hate it.
That's the best response I could get. I don't hate it.
Yeah.
I just think, look, I think the Bengals are going to try to run the ball down these guys' throat, and I think the Chargers are happy. Like so far, the Chargers have been happy with people running the ball, and it's in the red zone that they kind of get, start looking at these alternative options in the red zone. So I know you kind of teased it a little bit earlier, but Uzomah touchdown, I like that a lot in this game.
Sure.
Just looking at what the Chargers have given up to tight ends as far as touchdowns, like they've given up 9 touchdowns this year, so to tight ends. So I do like that. But yeah, I'm more on the running game in this game.
Sure.
Okay.
No, and I can't blame you after seeing what everybody's been doing to the Chargers. If we know anything about a Zach Taylor, Sean McVay offense, is that play action pass is going to set up everything for the rest of the field. So if Joe Mixon gets going, it could be good for CJ Uzomah and Tyler Shough and the rest of that offense. So completely agree with you.
Awesome. I'm going to go ahead and lay out my my 2-team teaser here. And, when some people zig, you got to zag. First game, I'm going to go with the Ravens at Steelers -4.5, and Steelers +4.5 is going to be one of the most trendy plays all weekend from cappers all over the Twitterverse. I don't care. I don't care that it's a divisional game. I don't care that, there's so many things that people are saying about this, and they're failing to realize that we are so stuck on the Steelers of old that we are ignoring the things that are directly in our face from the Steelers team that we see this weekend. And I'm not going to take this next statement as something that I came up with. I believe it was Warren Sharp who said it. The Steelers are one of those brand name defenses who you are seeing on the field underperform every single time, yet we still talk about how good and talented their defense is. It's happening time and time again. The Steelers defense is giving up 24 points per game, but what makes things much more difficult is this offense is only scoring 20 points per game. And no TJ Watt for the Steelers this weekend is a huge blow for them. And I was kind of like worried about the Ravens, playing at Pittsburgh. So I had to figure out, I went back to the last 5 games when the Ravens played the Steelers in Pittsburgh. Last 5 games, we could throw out 2 of them if you want to, which I'm not going to because I don't throw out games like that because they had a different quarterback. But 4-0-1 against the spread in the last 5 of the Steelers. The Ravens against the AFC, 9-2 against the spread in their last 11. And the Steelers, Steelers fans are trying their hardest at Heinz Field to make sure that they can root their Steelers home. They're 1-6 against the spread this season. Big Ben's not getting the protection he needs. He can't throw the ball down the field. And for a Ravens team who has been anything but great defensively, I think this is an opportunity for them to kind of have one of those games that they get excited about. Take back the helm of the conference and the rivalry and kind of sit down that Steelers team with no TJ Watt. I think Lamar's going to feel a lot more comfortable because he's not going to be being ran and chased the entire game. So I like the Steelers at the first leg. I mean Ravens. I get them at +1.5. And then for the second leg, I talked about this a little bit. I normally don't take teams where I automatically wouldn't back them to cover their big spread, but I like getting the Chiefs down here at 9.5. I think that the Chiefs are starting to get a little bit closer to that Andy Reid football. If you look at their last 4 games, they're winning on an average of 15 points per game. While I would love to say that I have them projected to win at 15 points per game, that's not realistic, and that's not how point projections work. the total that I ran through my projection was 8.56. So they're projected to win by 8.56, which is enough for me to get over that minus 3.5. I said this earlier. You're paying a premium. You're paying a premium for that Andy Reid off a bye success, but I think it's a little bit fool's gold. But I do think that we hit inside this number. One last thing I want to say about this game is we said it, the Broncos, when they get behind early, you can kind of tell that they stay behind, but it's not necessarily because the offense is not successful and they're not doing their job. It's actually because what's happening to their defense is they go from being that top 10 defense efficient team to down to kind of closer to the 18th ranking. And why that's happening is because the running backs are able to start getting gash plays. If you take a look at the runs early in the game when the Broncos are getting down early, they're averaging like 5.6 rush yards per carry, and it's gash plays that's really hurting them. So we'll be able to tell early what we're going to see out of this, and I like that clearance of I like this game and over that we're getting minus 3.5. I'm sad that I didn't clear that 3. But I'm okay with it when I have it projected at 8.56 point victory.
Yeah. We talked about it earlier in the podcast, or already about the Chiefs. We talk about December. This is the time that your Super Bowl teams really start coming together. This Ravens team needs to make a statement. If you look at the last few games, they squeaked one out against the Browns. They squeaked one out against the Bears. They got embarrassed on Thursday Night Football. We really haven't seen a dominant performance from them in over a month. Now, this is a divisional game. The Bengals look like they're in the lead in this division for the first time in a while. So I love the Ravens getting points. I do think we see that performance from Lamar. It does help that TJ Watt's not playing, but this is the time of year that if you think you are a Super Bowl contender, you throw it down and you make that win against a big divisional opponent. So I do like them to win outright. So the fact that you got him plus 1.5, but we need to see something big from Lamar Jackson. He was having his best passing season, I think, of his career through the first 7 weeks. We haven't seen as much from him over the last 3. I'm ready for a big game from him. 250 passing yards, 100 rushing, 2 rushing touchdowns, something like that. And who better than this Pittsburgh team, who they have such a slim margin for error. If they do not get Najee Harris going, they cannot play from behind. For the same things you just said, he has no protection. He can't push the ball downfield. Chase Claypool kind of in the doghouse. I don't know if you heard what he said this week. I want the music turned up at practice, and Tomlin's like, "All right, bro, I'll take care of that." So this Steelers team, I think, is in flux, where this Ravens team can really make a statement. So I like that.
Yeah, I love the Ravens in this spot. I just think the Steelers are. I don't think the Steelers will win another game this season. So they're in a bad situation. We haven't really seen this makeup of the Steelers team be in a situation like this. We've never seen it. So Mike Tomlin's facing his first losing season, and it's not looking good right now. And I don't know how it gets better, especially if the Ravens had won last week. They didn't win, but if they would have played better, it would have been a better situation for the Steelers. But like Lamar Jackson's tweeting after the game, like throw up faces and like I got to get back in the lab, and like he knows he's got to play better. I expect him to come out just trying to just do everything in this game, and I don't see how the Steelers slow him down in this one.
Sweet. Yeah, no, I'm excited for this teaser. I'm going to take Ravens a couple different ways this weekend. It's kind of sad because I think it's this point Tomlin just needs to tell Ben, like, sail off into the sunset next season. Like, we don't want you here, or not that we don't want you, but you know what I mean. Like, for the better success of our team. Bobby, I think that you have a game for a play for the Minnesota Vikings at the Lions. I struggled to find some action in this game. Go ahead and lay that on us. Did we lose you there, Bobby? That's okay. I can pivot to my next game, and then we can get you back in here when we get your audio. Since we're already talking about the Ravens, I think it kind of fits. I have not made this a 2-unit play yet. Right now, it's going to be a 1-unit play. I'm taking Justin Tucker, the Ravens, Justin Tucker over 1.5 field goals, -130. There's a lot to like about this game and a lot that's very interesting. I think that when you think about the Steelers' defense this year, I wouldn't call it a bend, don't break, but I think they do have enough talent to make them appear to be bend, don't break. The Steelers this season have done well to keep the opponents out of the red zone. They're at 53%. They're at 50% at home. One thing that, kind of correlates with that statistic is teams are kicking a lot of field goals against them. They're the second highest team and opponent made field goals this season. And what better in a divisional game, than having Justin Tucker come in here with a very poor, very, very poor Ravens red zone scoring offense. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that when you get closer to the red zone, closer to the end zone, the field gets tighter. And tighter. Lamar Jackson hasn't proved that he can hit those tight windows with frequency. And we have the field goal kicker who has the highest field goal percentage in the NFL. He's third in field goals per game, but anything that's clearing that 2 number is pretty good.
Yeah, I like that call. I think, the Ravens will just try to put up as many points as they can. I do think the Steelers will get some semblance of stops. I don't think it's going to be like a, just a touchdown line here. So
all we need is 2, which is great. That's what I love about it.
2 is a great number. The Steelers defense, unfortunately, just hasn't been that great this year. The public thinks they're really good, but they're 27th in DVOA. That's brutal.
Yeah, it's brutal. Can you hear us, Bobby? Oh, he just dropped. It's okay. We'll go into your next play, and the good thing is I'll let Bobby go ahead and rapid fire everything when he goes. You have.
I have Mark Andrews. Let's do that.
You have Mark Andrews. Okay, sweet. Yeah, tell us about Mark Andrews.
More Ravens. All right. If you're a Raven fan, you'll love this. So Mark Andrews over 57.5 yards receiving in this one. He's had 10-plus targets in 3 of the last 4 games. He's had 10, 8, 10, 10. So he's getting peppered with targets. He's hit this number 63.6% of the time this season. And, he's just been on a roll. And this is the time to look at Mark Andrews. Whenever it's right around this number, I think it'll go up to close to 59.5 by the time this kicks off. So I like Mark Andrews in this spot. He's had 65 yards, 73 yards, 63 yards the last 3 games. So he had 4 catches, 8 catches, and 6 catches. And I just don't see how that changes in this game. Like I just said, the Steelers defense, not very good against anything right now. 27th in DVOA. I just like that's their number 1 target. And if Lamar Jackson's going to throw the ball, he's going to come out, play better this week. Mark Andrews is the guy they're going to target. So I like Mark Andrews over 57.5 yards.
Hey, I'm always down to back Andrews. I have him on 3 fantasy teams.
I got him in my big one, so I hope. I definitely hope you're right, man.
Hey, Bobby, welcome back. And I before we got disconnected, I said that you had a play in a game that I struggled to find any leads outside of my touchdown prop. I even tried to find a touchdown prop outside of the one that I'm going to drop later that was a little bit juicier. But go ahead and tell me what you got for the Detroit Lions.
Sure. Under a normal week, this would be my random play. Unfortunately, CJ Uzomah already took that award. But I'm on Josh Reynolds over 37.5 receiving yards at -115. So last week, it was his second game with the Lions, but his first one with Jared Goff. He gets a team-high 5 targets, tied with Jamal Williams, and it's against the Bears in a lower-scoring affair on Thanksgiving. I expect this matchup with the Vikings to be a little bit more high-scoring. Goff's going to have to pass the ball more than 25 times like he did last week. Reynolds is much-needed help on this Lions wide receiver core. They're easily the worst in the league, and they already have Reynolds and Goff already have that continuity. They were there together in in LA. So now he has like a week and a half, called a bit of an extended bye with Thanksgiving, to learn the playbook more. And maybe he learns more than the 2 or 3 routes he ran last week, where he still cleared this number. He had like a 50-yard touchdown. So this is 37.5. I think he's easily going to become the number 1 target for Jared Goff on this struggling Detroit Lions offense. There is no DeAndre Swift. I do like Jamal Williams, though. So this at 37.5, when he can hit it in 1 reception, he already saw 5 targets last week. I like it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I like it a lot. He's gonna get at least 1 or 2 deep balls a game. We know that. If he converts one of them, this is hit. But other than that, I think he's gonna start getting a little bit more involved in the route tree. And there's really not much competition for him. I think it was Khalif Raymond, Amont. I don't even know his name. I'm going to be completely
honest. Rob, baby, the sun god.
Yeah.
All right, but no, I mean, outside of Hawkinson and the running backs on this offense, he needs a target. Why not Josh Reynolds? And why not why it's still under 40 yards?
I love this play. I agree with you. And Josh Reynolds was someone I gave out a couple weeks ago to pick up in deeper dynasty leagues and things like that, because he kind of fell off the face of the earth. And people forget, like, he played with Jared Goff. Like, Goff has that rapport with him already. Like, Josh Reynolds, the only reason why he got paid this offseason was because of Jared Goff. So they already have that rapport. I think that's a great play. It's too low. I think he goes 50 plus. I mean, if you got a 50 plus market, check out what those odds are right now, because I think he goes over that.
So normally on Sundays, that's exactly what I do. The alternate lines are not out this early, but I go to Sunday and I find guys that I'm big on. So like if I get Uzomah at 40 yards, banging that. Josh Reynolds, like you said, that 50-yard mark, the odds are going to be good. I feel great about them over this guy over 37.5. But if I can get some value at 40 or 50, I'm definitely hammering that, throwing it in a parlay, things like that. This line opened, I believe, at 35.5. I got it at 37. I think I saw it somewhere at 39, but still
it's 39 here in Australia. So
there you go. I still feel comfortable with it. I do think he's easily the number 1 wide receiver target, probably outside of Hawkinson. And then obviously Jamal Williams with 5 receptions. So.
Awesome. Cool. Listen, so before we get into this next play, I think it's kind of funny. I'm literally about to graduate college with my master's, and I wrote my thesis on the NFL and the Washington football team and the corruption and poor decision making that they have in here. So anyone have a play from the Washington game?
I do.
It's way more fun than my thesis, man. I'm going to be honest. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I got Taylor Heinicke over 22.5 completions. He's just, he's been dinking and dunking his way and, throwing the ball to Terry McLaurin. He's throwing to the backs. I mean, Antonio Gibson finally got some catches last week. McKissick, depending on his injury, will be out there. But he's just been super consistent with the way he's thrown the ball. I think, obviously, I don't know if he's going to be like the future. I don't really see that. But the last 5 or 6 games, he's hit this pretty easily. He had 27 completions against Seattle. Against Carolina, that was kind of off game for him. He only had 22 attempts in that game. But against Tampa Bay, he had 26 completions. Against Denver, he had 24. Against Green Bay, 25. Against Kansas City, 24. So he's been pretty consistent with this prop. And I think this game is going to be a little bit more of a higher scoring game than I think people want to admit at this point. I think Washington gets the ball moving and they kind of matriculate the ball down the field a few drives here. So we saw a 17-play drive against the Bucs a few weeks ago. So
9 minutes long. Yeah.
Right. This team can extend drives. So I think this completion prop is a good way to go.
Heinicke is interesting for me from a scouting standpoint, where the scouts that knocked him for a lot of the things that he does incorrect, he does a lot of those incorrect still in his losses, and then in his wins, he does everything outside of that better than expected, and he's a competitor. Whenever I have a team who I think can win as an outright dog, it's generally on the back of their quarterback being an absolute savage. And that's what he is. I like the fact that you're taking his over completions. I was going to tease this team if I would have got them at +3, which could have got me closer to that +10 number. But I still think they're going to win outright, and it's going to be a lot because of him.
I mean, you know the Corey. He's not the future, but that doesn't mean he won't be in the league for the next 5 to 7 years as a Ryan Fitzpatrick, a Case Keenum. He has a place in this league. He is a gamer. He checks all those boxes and hits all those kind of, rando white guy names, but he hits it. He's that guy, and I'm cool with watching him on a Sunday, but he's not the future. I don't know why this line is so low. The McKissick injury, I'm not sure if he is playing, but that just means a bigger workload for Antonio Gibson. I do also think Logan Thomas gets way more involved. Last week, I think it was his first or second week back from injury. Now he should really have his legs underneath him. So attack the tight end, attack the running back game, and these completions shouldn't be an issue.
Yep, awesome. So, Bobby, listen, you are welcoming back Kyler Murray in your play. What do you have for us in the Arizona Cardinals traveling to the Chicago Bears?
So normally I'm the prop guy. It's in the name. I stick with player props, but as a gambler, as a bettor, I mean, every week I bet everything. I bet lines, and over the last 2 weeks, I've really gotten the habit of identifying more sides than player props. And this is one that really stood out to me. But I must say, it is completely contingent upon Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins playing. As of today, all of the indications they are expected to play. Maybe it is a game time decision, but I do believe Kyler Murray and Hopkins play. So let's run with this, assuming they are. It's Cardinals -4 in the first half. So they're getting Hopkins and Murray back for the first time since week 8, and they're heading on the road to Chicago. It is expected to rain, 10 to 15 mile an hour winds. I still think this Cardinals offense explodes early. Now, if you look at the numbers, they were averaging 17 points per game through the first half through 8 weeks with Kyler Murray under center. The defense they're playing, and this defense is allowing 9.8 points per game in the first half on the road. So we have that 7-point disparity, and I have a 4-point spread. They came out of this 3-game stretch without Kyler Murray or Hopkins. They went 2-1. They're looking at the Rams. They're falling apart. Yes, San Fran's surging a little bit, but they have a chance like all these other teams we talked about. We talked about Baltimore. We talked about Kansas City. It's December. We are a contender. So you come out on fire on the road against this Bears team who's really just trying to get to the end of the season at this point. So 4 points with this offense and what we know how the defense performs in the first half. 7-point disparity and a 4-point spread. Give me the Cardinals -4 in the first half.
Dude, listen. So this a little peek behind the curtain for anyone who tails any of my live betting. So how I live bet a lot of games is I live bet lopsided markets. I'm really trying to hammer it down to a perfect science where I can actually write about it. But basically, every team at some point is going to be corrected on their line value. And if you find a team in a lopsided market who's either down or tied and you can get them lower than the spread, you have a very good chance of hitting that. The biggest lopsided market in the entire NFL this week is the Arizona Cardinals. I don't care what anybody says against betting the Cardinals. If someone says they're betting the Cardinals in any way possible, even an alt line, I'm 100% down for it because lopsided markets make me the most money on the live side, which means I'm going to be watching this game hoping for any bit of adversity. I don't care if it's a field goal early for the Bears because I think they cover this. I think they cover this -4 in the first half, and I think they cover the -7.5 as well. I love lopsided markets, and when I saw you put this on here, this was going to be one of my plays for what's the spread, but we ended up not talking about the Cardinals. We didn't do any NFL, so I'm glad that you had this on here.
You were gonna have the first half. You were gonna have the Cardinals
-7.5. Well, it was -7 at the time, but gotcha. Yeah, I was gonna have Cardinals -7. Basically, backing that lopsided market, especially when it's the highest in the NFL. Like, if you have the stats to back it up, you have to take a look at it. That's where the books are looking at liability.
I'm with you, man.
Yeah.
I went through the first half scoring offenses when we get Kyler Murray under center. Let me see the first half defenses as far as this Cardinals defense. We're getting Andy Dalton. We don't know if Allen Robinson is playing. I don't think he's played in the last 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Yes, David Montgomery can always potentially break one. He is that type of back. But, give me the Cardinals with something to prove, getting their 2 best players back. First half on the road. I got them going up 7 at least to end the first half.
Yeah, if you look at the Cardinals' first half, just over the season, they've only gone under 19 points twice this year. That was week 8 and week 5. So, I mean, if you just do it like that, you're like, okay, the Cardinals going to put up 20 points in the first half. Like the Bears, like I'm trusting the Bears offense to do anything. Yeah, so, Bears are normally an offense I try to stay away from unless it's Montgomery in a nice spot. But I think this is a really nice prop.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, I love it. I'm literally gushing when I'm over this play because I'm just getting so excited, waiting to live bet this game. I think I'm just jump on first half with you and then try to see if I can get something alternate to, maybe a -7 live if they go down 3-0 in the first quarter. Okay, awesome. So listen, we wrapping up that first segment. Now we're back with a 5-leg touchdown parlay. I'm gonna get things started off with my first play and Adam Thielen. I'm also playing this one separate. Adam Thielen playing against the Lions. I think that a lot of people believe this game is going to be a grinded out game. I think it's going to actually project to be higher than most people believe. The Lions this season, I don't want to talk too bad about them, but haven't been very, very successful in covering wide receivers, especially wide receivers who have the skill set of Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen this season has over 90 targets. He's getting a lot of those targets inside the red zone. Of those 90 targets, he has scored 10 receiving touchdowns. You're telling me you're getting a man who scored I think he scored in all but 2 games this season. You're giving me plus 115 odds on a man who scored in all but 2 games this season. I'm taking that all day, every day.
Nice. I have the long shot here. I do have Uzomah at plus 330. We talked about it earlier in the pod with Cincinnati and the Chargers. They give up at least almost a touchdown a game to opposing tight ends. I love this at the value. This is what's going to juice this up to 76-1.
Yeah.
So CJ Uzomah plus 330. It's my long shot touchdown guy of the week.
Nice. I'm going right back to my little homer play with Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin, while he only has 5 touchdowns on the year, in his last 5 games, in a lot of this action without Gronk, without Brown, or without both, he's done very well. But I think the biggest added benefit is being without Antonio Brown. 3 of 5 scoring in the last 5. The Falcons have given up the most touchdowns to wide receivers playing out of the slot. They've given up 15 touchdowns. Most of those were to wide receivers playing out of the slot. How the Bucs use Chris Godwin a lot in the red zone, and he's the most targeted wide receiver in the Bucs for this season in the red zone, is they line him up in the slot and they give him either funnel passes or they give him quick outs. Those are really effective routes when you're playing against teams who don't have agile, mobile linebackers covering the slot.
Very nice. I'm going over to the San Fran-Seattle game. I'm on Elijah Mitchell. It's minus 130. It is a little bit chalky. But this guy, when he gets touches, he gets a lot of them. 27 carries in back-to-back games. He gets a Seahawks defense that's giving up a rushing touchdown to a running back in back-to-back games. Last week against McKissick, the week before against Connor. I do think we have an injury to Deebo Samuel, who is he was getting some rushes in the backfield. I think that just means more Elijah Mitchell. So it is minus 130, but I guess it balances out my Uzomah craziness. I think he gets in the end zone on Sunday.
Yeah, I like that one. And I'm going with Lamar Jackson scoring here. He has only scored 2 touchdowns this year. Yeah. So, that's not, not the trend for him. I mean, he had 5 is 2018 and 7 and 7, and he's only had 2 this year. And that was in the same game. They've been doing a lot of kind of gimmicky stuff on the goal line with the plethora of running backs that they have at the moment. And I think, he gets a naked boot here or a read option and he gets in the end zone. The Steelers team let Joe Burrow in the end zone. They can let Lamar Jackson score one this week.
Absolutely, guys. You heard that. That's our 5-leg TD parlay with plus 7,616 odds. Guys, thank you so much for joining this episode. You can follow me at Mr. Brad Thomas on Twitter. You can follow Bobby at Prop Holiday, 2 L's. And you can follow Corey at CMoney52. And, of course, you can follow Bankroll Blitz at Bankroll Blitz. If you guys are watching on YouTube, press the subscribe and like button, and be sure to download this podcast on iTunes, Google Play, or however else you get your podcasts. Take it easy.
Take care, guys.
See ya.